Good afternoon. I'm Corey Walmsley, and I wanted to talk a little about one of the big problems that a lot of business owners have when they're working on their books, and that is that they have too many ideas, and then they just can't figure out why they can't get their book done. So you get caught in this cycle where you're like, oh, I have all these great ideas, and then you get frustrated. "Ah, why isn't my book done? Why is it that if I have so many ideas, I can't get anything on paper?" And what the root of this problem actually is that you are so overwhelmed by all these ideas that you don't know what to write. So I want to talk about how we can fix that problem and what your next step is, because I don't want you to sit there caught in this conundrum where you're just cycling through too many ideas and what am I going to write and I don't know what to do. So if you find yourself saying, I have a lot of ideas for my book, too many ideas for my book, or whatever, part of the problem is that you're staying stuck in here. So the first thing that I want you to do is sit down at your desk and dump those ideas out. It doesn't do us any good if you're trying to find a pair of socks that match and you're digging in your drawer and you can't figure out why you can't find the socks that match because you've got red socks and yellow socks and green socks, and maybe this is more a problem that kids have than grown-ups, but all these different socks. You have pony socks and bird socks and star socks and all this stuff, and you're saying, why can't I find the two that match? It's because there's so many of them that you're getting distracted by all this stuff. So dump it all out. Don't leave it there in that drawer. Dump it all out so you can actually sort through it. And you can actually find things that go together. So as far as book writing goes, you have all these ideas. Sit down and write them all out. And it does not matter if they're in order. It doesn't matter if they make sense. It doesn't matter if they're for different books or different audiences or maybe different people. Maybe there's a book in there that you've been thinking that you wanted to mention to your friend that they should write it. Get all of that stuff out of your head. You've got other stuff that needs to go in there, right? So sit down and write all of it out. And once you have all of it out, you can finally look at it and start organizing it. I know a lot of times when people tell me they've had all these ideas in their head for years and they think they're ready to write their book, the first question I ask is, like, have you written any of this down? Because keeping it all up here is just cycling around and it's just making you crazy. So take a look at what you have written down next. Does it appeal to the audience that you want to write to? That's the first thing I would look at. If there's stuff on there that doesn't appeal to that audience and it's not something that they would personally pick up a book for, just put a line through it. You don't have to scratch it off or throw away whole paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just your scrap to start getting some of these ideas out. Put a line through the stuff that isn't for that audience. Put a line through the stuff that you don't personally teach. I know a lot of times we're drawn to writing a book about our personal story, but if that personal story is about how you manage to raise enough money to get your kids to college, but you actually work with women who quilt, then that might not be aligned with your audience. So you want to work on something that your audience is actually going to buy, either current clients or potential clients. So make sure that you mark off the stuff. Okay, maybe that's something you'll write later, but right now, get that first book under your belt. Get something that's actually going to work for your business. So put a line through that stuff or move it to a different document. If you're like me and you like to work on the computer, cut that stuff out and paste it on something else. Name it ideas for future books. Name it stuff that isn't working for this book. Whatever you have to do, just name it something that you can look at later. I don't recommend trashing all the ideas, because someday you might say, hey, this is a really good idea. This is me now. If it's been in your head, maybe you'll want to write it later. So now you have all those ideas out of your head and you finally got them on paper and you can actually look at them and organize them. This is where you want to start. This is absolutely the best place to be. You want to organize it now. And you can do this in any number of ways. You can use flashcards, or index cards, I guess most people call them that. We call them flashcards sometimes because that's what we use with my kids. So if you take index cards, you can go to the dollar store and get those. Write the different ideas on there. use that, lay it out on the floor, organize it that way. Print out your document and, you know, cut out the different chunks that you're working on. You can also use a tool that I like to tell people about, poster board, Post-it notes. Don't pick a bunch of bright colored Post-it notes because you'll go blind trying to look at it, but you know, write out all your ideas on your Post-it notes and stick them on the board. Organize it that way. You know, you can't work from this disorganized pile of stuff that's floating in your head. You have to have something that helps you contain this chaos. And this is one of the first things that I always do with my clients. So when I get on the phone with them, we start brainstorming, we start narrowing down their ideas. We start organizing their ideas. Whenever people are taking my my Brilliant Business Book Intensive, that's the first module, is talking about brain dump and, you know, your purpose, your audience, all of that kind of stuff, everything that you want to look at to figure out what people want to actually read from you that you're the expert on. So I just wanted to pop on here and give some of my thoughts about this, because I know too many people are caught in that cycle where they're just going, I have so many ideas and I don't know what to do, and so I'm not doing anything, so now I'm mad that I don't have a book. So once you get out of that and can actually, you know, organize those thoughts and make sure that they make sense, that's how you start writing. So if you have questions about this, I would love to talk with you. I know a lot of people tend to be quiet when they're thinking about writing that book because they don't want everybody to know about it, but you have to let people know about it, otherwise no one's going to buy your book, right? So let me know about it. Let's talk, let's set up a time to chat. If you're curious about talking with me, just comment below, shoot me a PM, email me, whatever it is. But I'd love to help you get all that stuff out of your head and finally get it on paper, get it into book form, and publish it. So have a good afternoon. See ya.